Hi, my name is Coco with blackfilm.com, and I'm here with former NBA player Kwame Brown. And we're here to talk about your new series that you have going into production, The Bust. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So I'd like to know what made you own Bust. You're just like going with it. And this is just something that you've got this really, really huge platform. And you got a lot of people, like you'll have thousands of people in your life sometimes. So what made you just say, you know what, fine, I'm just going to go with it?
Well, because it never really bothered me. So, I mean, at first it did. Initially, it bothered me when I was young. And then I got to a point where, a bunch of strangers want to say something. You can't, we always talk about taking the power over something. And I'm like, it's just a word. So I'm like, let's use that. It's still energy. And so I use that energy. You want to say this word bus all the time. Let me just take over this word and make you call me a bus and pay me for it.
Right. I've always had a problem with that. Like I don't, and I think that perhaps the one person I think that's been very fair to you would maybe like Jalen Rose. He'd be like, well, hold on now. This man,
I love Jalen.
Yeah, no, Jalen you could tell he's a real solid dude, and it's just, again, I think Jalen Rose has been very fair to you. And I just never liked people speaking about people in that kind of way. And I know that, Stephen A is not one of your friends, but it's just the way he talks about people, and it's not, it hasn't been just you. And I'm just like, what gives you the right, just straight ahead talk about the game, or but to talk about people like that,
Well, that's what they get paid to do. If you notice the three guys, that's the top guys. They're Stephen A, Skip Bayless. None of them played basketball. None of them play the sport that they're talking about. So they're going to talk about it in a very entertaining manner that the common person will think is funny, because they're going to say they're athletes. They make a lot of money, so they deserve this ridicule. But why don't we just ridicule the owners and every other man that makes money? Men shouldn't be ridiculed just because they make money. Right. And Skip Bayless will openly say that. We can disrespect these guys. You're crying if you say anything back. But then they're the biggest softies, because as soon as one of these players say something back, they're the ones crying. So they just want this one-way aggression. And that's how they make themselves seem bigger than life. I stopped getting offended because the people that talk the most, like I just said, they can't do the things that I can do. So I don't know how the world got brainwashed to listening to a Stephen A and a Skip Bayless. These guys, they wouldn't even get picked on the basketball court.
Not even like the YMCA rec league.
No, I call them intramurals. These guys can't even win the intramural championship. That's what these guys do. They're between classes players, man.
Yeah, well, that's a good point that you bring up, because I think about it, and just the way you've said it, it's really projection. So you're saying that it's okay to talk about somebody because they made good money, and you.
Yeah, they're envious. They're envious. If you look up the history of Skip Bayless, he was trying to be a basketball player. He so much so he blamed his coach. The coach didn't like me. So I mean, he's one of those type of thinkers. And then somebody put him in a position of power, and just the media as a whole. They can't talk about black women. You see what happened to Stephen A. Smith as soon as he ran afoul of black women. Yeah. And so the only male left, or the only person left for the media to make money off of, is black men. We're the only people that don't have a coalition that says, you know what, a group that says, we're not going to let you disrespect us like that. Women, you guys have it. White men, they're at the top of the food chain, so they're not going to let you talk about Tom Brady. They're not going to let you talk about Aaron Rodgers in that way. They only do it to players, black males. Look at what just happened to Isaiah Thomas. All he wanted was them to change the picture so he don't look like an angry black man. Right. And he went up there, he went respectfully, and they made a joke out of him.
Yeah, no, that is so true. I also saw your comments on Isaiah Thomas and saving Stack. I mean, it was like, and I'm glad I'm talking to somebody that actually understands the game, because I was just saying to myself, like, why in the world would he be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that? Like, how do you forget something like that? So you're not even being truthful in the moment. That's a lie. You did not forget about that. Like,
you don't forget that. This man saved your life. That just lets you know they got to do this script against these black men. He was the one who was laughing the hardest. Why they didn't make Matt laugh? Yeah. He was like fall out laughing. Yeah. And just to find out that Isaiah was responsible for saving his life, I was just like, you a scumbag.
Like,
Like for
my
real.
thing is like beyond the clear lie that he just had forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you not task yourself with being really incredibly gracious to that person and make it a story that everybody knows? Like, this is something that I would talk about all the time. So I just thought that reflected poorly. He's also said weird things like checking in, hanging out in O Block and all kinds. So I don't know what I never really know what Stack is like. I don't get it. He's like, you're too old for that.
That's where his honor and his respect come from, checking in to O Block and being tough. I mean,
Yeah.
And look at the guys they use. Steven Jackson, he was a pretty good basketball player,
Yeah.
but he's had his run-ins with the law. This is a guy who was alleged to shoot off a firearm. He told this story himself.
Yeah.
He was out in the nightclub, shot up in the air, got ran over by a car, got his teeth knocked out. And so this is the guy who they give a job like that to lead the minds of young people, that now he's up on a platform like this, and he's still talking about checking in at that age. He's older than me. I'm 41.
Yeah, I think he's
checking into what? You about to be checking into an old folks' home soon.
I'm not checking in anyway. I think that kind of
no.
That kind of language is just so ridiculous. Like, so now I have to. I don't get the mentality, and I don't even get the messaging behind that. And I think that's just so crazy. And I don't have a responsibility unless I'm doing something where I'm actually doing something positive. I don't have a responsibility to visit every hood to prove that I was there.
Well, and it shouldn't be like that. But that's the thing. We are enslaving each other now. Because think about it. I can walk through the wrong neighborhood and somebody black will say what I'm doing over there.
Yeah.
Why I didn't check in with them. So what if white people was doing that? What if white people say, we get mad when they do that? We walk through their neighborhood, they make us check in. Hey, what you doing over here? What are we doing any different than what white folks are doing?
That's a very good point. Point. So let's talk a little bit more about the bust and what made you decide to come up with this. So the project is going to be a series of episodes, or is it a film?
It's going to be a series that potentially we can turn into a film, and also a book. But it's just taking the power back. It's going to show young kids, because if you're calling this guy a bust, with this many accomplishment, let's mirror it to what's not a bust. Are you only talking about basketball? Because if you're looking at me as a man, I've been a successful man since 14 years old. So despite what someone call you, I think the strength in this project is going to show somebody who came from a homeless shelter, who mother and father got divorced because my father lost his way and he ended up being a convicted murderer. So I had all the setbacks and all the excuses that anyone can make not to succeed. My mom is now newly divorced by force. And so I'm one of 8 children. I'm in a crime-ridden neighborhood, one of the worst neighborhoods in my town, where most black men just get shot or go to jail. And so for me to be in that environment and work a job, still become the #1 draft pick, I think America finally needs to hear that story. Stop trying to make it just about basketball. Let's talk about the perseverance and what it took for me to even get to that level.
And how did you not lose your way? Because it would have been very, very easy to have just gone a different direction. So, like, I hear you talk about, your past and your childhood, but also I've heard you talk about you were actually a really good student too. So you were doing so many things at one time. But how did you just maintain that and never lose your way?
Because of the strength of my mother, and that's why I talk about mama's cooking. I don't just pander to women like most people do. Some women don't give their children that mama's cooking. And it's the most important thing ever, because I watched my mother go without. So that was my whole driving force to make it. That's why I got up at 14 years old. And this older gentleman told me, look, nobody don't care that you're in this situation. I'm going to come by here from 5 to 5:30. If you're not out on this porch, then, your mom don't eat. And so I was there every day. And the reason why it was easy to do it, because I was that kid that you thought I was asleep, but I wasn't. And I'm up nosy watching you. And sometimes that's when mothers take time to cry, because they done dealt with the stress of all the kids and they're trying to be strong for them. So at night, I knew a lot of nights she was probably hungry, because she had 7 boys that were greedy as hell. I had a brother that would eat everything in the whole house. So just seeing that strength and seeing that sacrifice. And that's why I always say to women, it's about sacrifice. And she sacrificed it all. And before she died, I was able to let her kick her feet up and get what she wanted and live right. And that's what it's about. That sacrifice that women bring.
And so you make it to the highest position possible in the land in regards to the sport. What was it like for you when you were able to basically, I mean, I'm sure at this point even retire members of your family, right? So like being able to give back, and you said you're all boys.
Yeah, well, yeah, 7 boys and 1 girl.
Oh wow. So to be able to, with a family that large too, and to be able to say like, guys, we're okay now, we've made it. Like, what does that even feel like? Because none of us, or many of us, there's only a small percentage of people that make it to where you made it. So when you're able to do that,
it's a gift and a curse because a lot of times family members adopt this attitude of we all made it. And instead of I made it, but I can be a vessel to help you.
Yeah.
But you got to still have the mindset to want to get your own.
Sure.
I used to always tell my brothers, we have to compete within the family. I'll help. You got the finance now to come up with an ideal, and I'll help finance it, but you got to go work it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would do.
And that's interesting because, I haven't thought about that because obviously I've not seen that kind of money, but that's just really interesting. Like, how do you know? Like you said, you're helping them with like they come up with the idea, and then we'll set you up a shop or whatever, and then you're gonna make your own money. But how do you know when it's too much? Like when like how do you say no?
Well, sometimes you fight about it. What happens is they do this on purpose. They put the amount of money that you make in the newspaper, and they put the large number out there, and they do it so your family members can drive you crazy because. If they think you're getting $12 million, they think you just got $12 million. They don't know about taxes. They don't know if that gets cut down there in half. 10% go to escrow. They don't understand.
Yeah.
So some family built resentment towards you because they're like, you got it. Why not just give it? And my mentality was always like, if I give it to you, then how would you learn how to keep it? Or how would you learn how to make it? So I would always be the type that if you didn't come up with something, I'm going to say no. If you didn't come up with something that you thought out and you just want me to give you something, I already initially gave you something. I initially gave them all stuff. And then after that, you got to come up with something that you can sustain what it is that I gave you, because I'm not going to be working for you. Because essentially a lot of athletes and a lot of rappers or whatever, they're the talent, but they're out working for everybody around them.
Yeah.
And that'll drain anybody. And that's why a lot of them end up going broke, because the friend want to be the shooter instead of going to get a law degree so he could be the lawyer, or going to get his security guard licensed and bonded so he can go be an actual bodyguard and not a shooter. And so that's how you start making business and doing business.
I've watched your platform a lot. I mean, you are incredibly funny. Like I've seen you going on people, and it's really like comedy could have been something you took up for sure. But I know one thing about you is that you focus on children. So, and I know, like you said, you had a difficult childhood, but one thing that you've said that I go back to because I can relate to that is that sometimes adults just aren't listening to children. No. And I think, and I feel like children, we should listen to them. Like they have personalities. They are also curious about the world, and they're trying to figure things out. And so when you tell the kid to sort of shut up and, as adults are here, I feel like that can stunt somebody.
I tell my kids, as long as you're respectful, as long as you're not cutting me off and we're having a dialogue, they can say whatever. And a lot of parents don't do that. They take it disrespectful. Kids are going to say what they see. So sometimes us as parents, we doing some BS. So they might say it. Like, I see you do this, Dad. And I'm like, hey, well, I'm grown. But I still take the time to break it down to them. Like, okay, this is what it is.
I listen to children and I listen to much older people because there's an honesty there that is just the children is the innocence of the honesty.
It'll hurt your feelings.
The older people have been here before, right? So it's like they you don't want to be repeating stuff, So I definitely care about what kids have to say for sure.
Yeah.
And so using your platform to, I mean, you do always have you have sports takes, so you'll be just driving and you'll just sharing some things that are on your mind and things like that. It grew. I think that the reason why your platform is so big, just from my perception, is that I think everybody's just tired of bullies. It's like we're just tired of it. Like it's just not funny, And I think that you really you found a way to take the people back, because when you were playing, we didn't hear from you.
Yeah. Because I know it's a game within a game. Most of these guys are fake. Most of these guys, they get guys that have been broken, or the guys that do the most talking, they've gotten a lot of trouble, or they've lost their money. And so now that's how they get them. Now you got to do whatever we got to say to maintain this lifestyle that you so desperately need. Because these guys can live, they don't have to fly around and act like they're the best guys in the world. I go wherever I want to go, and I can fly, I can drive, I can do whatever. But this whole notion that they're better than somebody, that's why they sell out. That's why they need so much money to feel like they're better than you.
Yeah.
And they don't really have a lot of money, most of them.
You know, I always say that. I'm like, everybody can't be rich, you know, and there's all these people front. And one thing you've also said is that, like, you know, this constant need to be flashy and things like that. You know, like there's things that I don't see you do. I don't see you walking around like that. So it's just interesting. And it's just like, you know, none of that stuff is even sustainable. Like especially if somebody's not actively doing a thing, you know, is the jury even real? You know, I mean,
a lot of it isn't. And that's the thing. It's only to make you guys have a perception.
Yeah.
There's so many rappers told you, I don't buy real jewelry. I just get this jewelry for the look. You know, some of them say they have the real jewelry at home, but most of it is fake. I know basketball players, I know teammates that would buy fake earrings, and they would be like, I was like, why do you buy fake earrings? They're like, because they're never going to ask me if they're real or not. So it's all perception. The people who spend the most money is we the people. Yeah, that's why I came to the internet saying that. They trick you guys. These celebrities that they put above you, they give them the product. They'll ship them the product for free. And all the followers go and look and see that, hey, what is that Beyonce got on? And then now all of them go and buy it, or Cardi B, or Michael Jordan, or NBA Youngboy. All you have to do, if you're a white businessman, you get control or get in the pockets or one of these celebrities, and all of their followers, like whatever, they just go buy everything they do, even if it's not going to benefit their life. Why are so many people watching the 1% if you're not even going to get to the 1%? Shouldn't you be watching and helping the people that are around you, so the people that are around you can live better?
That are actually in your community. I've heard you talk about going to like community meetings, and you're actually very involved, like on a ground level. That's good, because you don't hear people talking. Nobody talks about that stuff, right? Yeah.
There's something going on at the little community center. I'll call up my neighbor. Hey, if I can't come, I'm making sure, take this donation from you. I'm for the cash app you. I make sure, because that's the community I'm in. So I want my community to know that, hey, I'm helping serve the community. Because then now when something happens, my neighborhood, they're not going to play with you. We're going to tell everybody going to tell around my neighborhood, because it's a community. We don't want that drama over there. And so that's what we got to start doing. Why are you watching the 1%, spending like the 1%? How could you ever get to the 1% if you're spending like them? All of them had a grind to get to where they're at. And they didn't do it by just spending a bunch of money. They did it by doing the same thing over and over again. I woke up every day and I did the same thing. If it was summertime, I went to work. I had to go to practice at 5 a.m., 6:30 practices. After that, I would have to go to work. After work, I had to, go to sleep. And I'm waking up doing that same thing. And when school was in, it was 5:30 practice, school, and then McDonald's after school. And so that's what life is. It's routine. But now they've made life about fun. Life is a movie. It's a video game. Take a flick to the side. And I'm like, so what are you guys doing in your time to sustain all this partying everybody doing? So somebody got to be faking it.
It's not real, because like I do like a lot of like red carpet coverage too, and I'm looking at these people and I'm like, it's not real, and I'm just like, I've just seen things. Like I've also known people, let's just say like the so-called like the Instagram models, people like that. I've known people that kind of have that kind of following, or they're keeping up the so-called lifestyle, but then they're sleeping on somebody's couch. So it's like, you think that this person is up, so to speak, and it's like they on my couch. Like what is the purpose of that? I don't get it. I don't pretend. Like I'll tell you right now, like I don't care how much money I ever come into. I don't wear no $1,000 outfits. It's just not something that I would do. It's just against my own personal standard. I can't do it. Yeah, like I mean, I'm a t-shirt and sweatpants kind of girl.
Yeah.
So
like I'm forced to pay over that when I get a full suit, but other than that, like I have no choice.
That's understandable though, because with a suit, and where we're talking about something that's tailored, even like there's a certain level where something can make sense. Like that's something that would cost money. But to say like I'm gonna wear $1,000 sneakers that will be out of style in 3 months, like why would I do that even if I could? It just
because you're trying to show somebody you got money. The brokest people have the most stuff. They have the most Jordans. They have the most, and they'll keep them nice and stacked up. They're the most beautiful thing they got, and that their real estate and their investment they're building towers or shoes instead of going to get property and real estate and getting some residual income so you can get some passive income.
Yeah,
all of these guys they're teaching black people to take the deal instead of taking the residual income. There's so many benefits in the passive income because you have a tax benefit there. So if somebody's take a check or like, let's just say a guy get a job and they're paying them, let's just say they're paying them $100,000 a month.
Right.
I'd rather make $50,000 or $60,000 in passive income because I'm not going to pay no taxes. He's going to pay taxes on that $100,000. I'm not going to pay no taxes on that $60,000 or $70,000 that's coming from real estate.
I really appreciate that that you again took the power back in the bus title, and that people are really at this point now really giving you your flowers. And then I saw one really good interview that you did with
The Pivot.
That was so good, man. They were so good to you, and I was just like, yo, this is exactly the type of this is the type of platform that we should be honoring, respecting, not people just asking wild questions and trying to get like a reaction out of you. I mean, again, at the end of the day, like as David would also agree, this is still a man. This is a man with children. This is a man with a family. You don't talk about people like that. You just don't do it. So I love that they had such a huge platform and that they honored you in that as well. Yeah.
And it's generation. I see players coming in all the time, and I'm like, man. And then when they go from college to where everybody love them, they're gonna have a good game, they're gonna have a bad game. To now they're thrown into the NBA, and then now it's the pressure right away. Is he a bust? Is he this? Can he play? And so these guys are going through a lot of anxiety. So you see an uptick in mental health talk in the NBA, and that's why that is. It's the media and the way they talk about these players.
Do you still are you still friends with anybody in the league or any of those people? Or are you just kind of like, look, I'm just living my life. I want nothing to do with it?
No. I talked to a number of former players. They all come in and out of Atlanta. That's why Allen Iverson came and was like, man, you and Jack need to stop that. This is that. Because he's really good friends with Jack. Yeah. So, he been kind of staying out of it because he don't like it. And so he wants to end up coming together and being cool. But I don't have a personal problem with Stephen Jackson. I'm just saying what he's doing for money is wrong. Okay. And if he would examine what they're having him do, just at least examine it. I understand they keep thinking that they're doing the right thing, but Isaiah Thomas was visibly upset.
Yeah, he was very upset.
If that was Matt Barnes laughing at him like that, I don't think he would have cared as much. Because it was him. That's what bothered him.
I know you don't necessarily care for Matt Barnes, but I actually think that I think he tends to be a little bit more fair in terms of his coverage, but I know that there were some things they said about you that you didn't like as well. But Matt Barnes, to me, I think that I like how he covers sports. Let's put it like that.
Sometimes he cover it fair, but all of them, to me, they all have to toe a certain line. And the narrative that they want, they always have a face of the league, and the face of the league gets protected. And so sometimes when people have a different take, they come out and say things that are just like, wow, like why would you even say that? And so the narratives it's just the narratives I just disagree with.
I see what you're saying, because a lot of times it's almost like they just wake up choosing violence, right? Like they just decide like I don't even know a lot of the time if the takes are even, if they even believe the takes sometimes. But I'm not specifically, and I'm not talking about them specifically, but a lot of times you see stuff and you're just like, that's wild. Like
it's clickbait. That's all they do.
But in regards to, it's so funny because I was looking at what Stephen A was saying about Zion too, and I was just like, again, how do you talk about a person like that in that way? Like you said, there's a lot of pressure, and I cannot even imagine what it's like to play on such an incredibly large stage like that, and everybody's in your face. Like I can't even, like, the concept of it is just, I can't imagine. So it's like, I'm glad that you're able to say the things that you've been saying in the way that you're saying it, because I know there's guys that maybe that you don't even necessarily talk to, but are like, that's right. Like, he gets it. Because once you join that, I guess you could say, fraternity, you guys all have that, at least, I could say brotherhood loosely in some cases,
Yeah.
but it's a brotherhood that only you all understand the type of pressures that you're under.
They should critique without the disrespect.
Yes.
And that's all. Some people could agree with Stephen A. Smith take. There's some truth to it that he's going to have to figure out how to play. Yeah. But I feel bad for him because I saw him in person. Well, he didn't see me, but I saw him. He's really a big dude. He has big legs and he's all explosion. So once you have a foot injury, and that's what they were so afraid of with his weight. Once you have a foot injury and you're still trying to explode every play, it's all explosion with him. So they're either going to have to lighten him up a little bit and try to just teach him a mid-range game where he's not exploding so much, because over a course of an 82-game season, once you get a knick-knack injury, that explosion is gone. So he wants to feel like Zion because they're expecting him to be able to play like that. And with his foot like that, it probably grows up to his hip, and then sometimes his knee is hurting. And so with him being so large, he's going to have to lighten up a little bit, I think. That would be the only suggestion I would give.
Have you thought about...
I don't have to disrespect him to say that.
That's what I'm saying. The way you're saying it is just straight ahead facts. It's not picking on someone, and it's just the facts. So have you thought about actually working with a network, or you like doing your YouTube and just sticking with your own...
No, I'm going to change my backup channel to, or either my main channel is going to be more of like a sports and politics. Yeah. Where I'm just talking about sports and the politics of the game.
No, I think you have obviously you're, as an analyst, let's say, I think that you do have incredible takes, and I like that you cover everything. I did see when you were, I don't want to keep bringing people up, right? I'm like naming names here and everything. But when you
got to start it all over again.
I'm about to start it like exactly, but it's like, no, when you went off on Malika for trying to do Jalen like that, and I was like, nobody else was going to say that. Not that way. Yeah, nobody else was going to
say that. Me and Corey Holcomb probably the only two people I seen really go after it, because it's making men afraid to like, and I saw Richard Jefferson is actually the one who reached from behind and like poked her in the armpit. So it was kind of like something Richard was doing. But Jalen is a good dude. He's a smooth dude. He don't want no problems. So and he always look out for players. He look out for people that do the right thing. So I just thought that was disrespectful, because the main thing is, and I'm not blaming her in that situation because she couldn't see, but she does have a lot of takes against black men that I didn't see that same tape. Like, imagine Floyd Mayweather slapping a woman or his wife on camera, and Dana White is on that level. Dana White is he's a wealthy man, superstar. Malika Adams, I didn't hear her say anything about him, but they would have definitely had her cover Floyd Mayweather. So it's like the companies that these people work for, they're just saying they're doing their job. But the people who are telling you to do this, why is it not balanced out? All the stories, Roethlisberger, Brett Favre, when they make a mistake or they do something, it's over with after a while. They're able to, they don't say it after every down. Well, Roethlisberger gets accused of sexual assault and this and that. When they move on with their career, black men get it coming in, they get it during, and they get it going out. They want to break up they want to define your life by that. Look at what they're doing to Karl Malone. I guess we're supposed to throw this man away, because every time they even bring his name up with anything with the NBA, they bring up something that he was accused of back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah, so it's just like, if we're going to be a Christian nation, a forgiving nation, why is it that it looked like it has a color to it? White males get to move on. The black ones never do.
No, that's actually a really sound point. I hadn't really thought about it like that, but you're right. Because you don't know, that's so true. They don't bring it up every single time they make a play, and it's like, oh, this person that was accused of this thing. So no, that's a good point. Well, I thank you so much for your time, Kwame.
Thank you for having me anytime.
Thank you. Again, my name is Coco with blackfilm.com, and I was here with former NBA player Kwame Brown. And I just wanted to, we could have talked a lot more about sports and some of the talking points a lot of people bring up all the time, but I didn't want it to necessarily be repetitive. And I wanted people to kind of like, at least on this platform, get to know you a little bit more in a different way, because I know that there's...
Well, I got Adrian. Adrian can link us up again, and he has my number. I'll tell him to give it to you so you can reach out. Whenever you need me, I'll come back. It was a pleasure. I thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And again, thanks for the shout out on the live.
No problem.
All right, take care.
This on blackfilm.com. Make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell.